In China's central Henan province this month, demonstrators chant, "Give me my money back." One poster reads, America's Silicon Valley Bank customers got their money back in 3 days, but China's Henan Village Bank's customers haven't been given a cent in a year. These protesters are victims of a banking scandal that started last April when several small banks in Henan froze depositor funds, impacting an estimated 400,000 customers, according to a state-run magazine.
Some depositors, myself included, can no longer survive. Because all of our money is stored there, some people may commit suicide. Some depositors may hurt others. Everyone has a tipping point.
This banking victim in Beijing is a lawyer who is gathering depositors to sue the local authorities. He says all they want is their money back, but instead they're being tracked, harassed, or even worse. While the banks are now open for business, an estimated several thousand still cannot access their money. The banks and authorities have ignored the victims' relentless efforts to get answers over the past year. We're not revealing the identities of all the victims who spoke to us in order to protect their safety. This couple in Shanghai says earlier this year, the government hired people to stake outside of their apartment for weeks. On March 4th, right before China's biggest annual political meeting in Beijing, they say their car was suddenly stopped on the streets of Shanghai. They were driving to meet a relative and shot this encounter on a phone. "Get in our car," the man in the brown jacket demands. "No," she replies. "So many people have surrounded us. What are you trying to do?" she asks. The couple says the men then threw black cloth bags over their heads and drove them to an island outside of Shanghai.
We were locked up for 11 days. They illegally detained us and confiscated our bank cards, phones, and wallets. I tried my best to cooperate with them. Still, they beat me.
He says the authorities were paranoid they might travel to Beijing to demonstrate during the political meeting. The banks, regulators, and local authorities have not responded to CNN's multiple attempts to contact them about these serious allegations. Last summer, police violently crushed peaceful demonstrators demanding their money back. Then weeks later, authorities blamed the scandal on financial fraud, arrested hundreds of alleged suspects, and promised to start paying depositors back. China's media has reported that the government has the crisis under control, but has ignored the stories of these bank victims. Meanwhile, pro-Communist Party social media influencers have been zeroing in on the bank failures in the U.S. This one says, "Explosive news, the U.S. is facing a catastrophe." Another says it might be the end of the U.S. if they fail to handle this well. And state tabloid Global Times published this dramatic infographic. But the U.S. government quickly stepped in to pay back the depositors in full. Have you received any sympathy, any response from the authorities?
No, I have not. The government's attitude is that as long as they've suppressed the people with problems, there is no need to pay back the money. It is completely different from how Silicon Valley Bank was handled.
This depositor from Zhejiang province went to the protests last summer and says he was beaten by the police.
If I can't get the money soon, then my children and I can only live on the streets.
Do you have hope that you're going to get your money back?
People like us have been robbed of money, yet we are treated like criminals. If my money cannot be withdrawn, only one option is left for me, which is death.
Back in Beijing, the lawyer says his relentless legal efforts may be their only hope. If you do get the money back, what is your plan?
Leave the country with kids and parents, because I want my children to grow up in a democratic, free, and rule of law country.
I mean, Selena, this is amazing, right? People wait a year and still can't get their money. And, from your reporting, I understand experts think this bank may just be the tip of the iceberg. And how big could this crisis really be?
Well, Aaron, one professor of Chinese business told me that he estimates 1/3 or 1/4 of China's small banks are in trouble. But we may not know how this is spreading because the government is getting better at covering up and preventing these kinds of leaks. Now, the root problem here is China's slowing economy and ballooning debt. A lot of these small banks relied on financial products tied to the real estate sector. So when the property bubble burst and China's economy slowed, well,
funds dried up. And experts say what we're seeing is Beijing willing to oppress people rather than pay the remaining victims to tell the banking system they cannot play fast and loose with money.